Good afternoon, evening, morning, all depending on where exactly you are. It's another FrodoNL stream, and today we're celebrating a birthday. Actually, it was yesterday. Yesterday, the Sinclair ZX81, a version of which was my first computer, the Timex-Sinclair 1000, Sinclair ZX81 turned 40 yesterday. Sinclair ZX81 was the second computer sold by Sinclair. The ZX80 was before that. Yes, there was another thing, but we usually don't count that as much in the series. But the ZX81 was produced by Timex for Sinclair in the UK, and Timex later also made copies of them under the name Timex-Sinclair 1000 and Timex-Sinclair 1500 in the US. It was for the time a very cheap computer, way cheaper than anything else that was available at the market. The kit at the time was basically £49.95, while if you wanted it assembled you could get it for £69.95. Compared to other computers at the market at the time, that was extremely cheap. And even by today's standards, those prices aren't too bad. If you look at current standards, it's about £200 for the kit, 260 or so pounds for the assembled computer. Not a bad price for what was then, of course, very new technology. There were no home computers almost available to people that had less than average income. And this was available to everyone basically, because most people come. Hey Wen, yes, you got your Clyde. Yippee. That's the other bit of news for all the subscribers. They now get an extra subscribers emote. They got Clyde added. Because with everything that happened first day, we reached 15 subscriber points. So one extra emote. Yeah, Goose Attack Survivor. Jeez. I felt sorry for the Goose, because they didn't know any better. But I had no choice but to kick one of them. And that's not something I like to do. But yeah, well, no choice there. They're probably just defending a nest, an early nest or something. But it happens. How are you doing, Wen? I hope you didn't dream of flying dogs or something. That's an option too, but I'm sure they felt they were defending something. For those wondering what I'm going to do with the ZX81, given that the ZX81 of course doesn't have any sound, and we're only looking at the early games. I know there were later sound cartridges made for the such, but we will be having some Spectrum background music, so we at least won't be completely dependent on me keeping talking, because I wouldn't want to do that to anyone out there. Not even my enemies, and I consider most of you friends. Mr. Aaron, good morning for you. Under your own name today. Hi, Aniva. Welcome in, Han. Okay, let's switch to our ZX81 screen. As you can see, we'll actually do a nice reboot, so it starts from scratch. Although we will see that more often. As you see, all we got was a K prompt when we started the ZX81. Not even like later on the ZX Spectrum where we would get a copyright message. No, just a K prompt. Hi Michiyama, welcome in. As I said, there will be some Spectrum music in the background. I will have to look for the levels. I hope it's not too loud, but There needs to be a bit of audio in the background here, because the ZX81 does not have any audio. Mitsuyama and Onivar, for both of you too, there is a new emote available to you guys now. It's our Clyde has been added as of today. Yeah, all silent games. Exactly, Mitsuyama. That went live today. It was I put it on yesterday morning, and it was accepted today. So nice and quick this time from our friends at Twitch. Okay, so we're going to look at not just the first year of the ZX81, because that was 1981, it started in March, but there weren't that many games that we often had Sinclair cassettes with super programs and such, which had 5 programs that were not exactly super and mostly written in BASIC. Hi, Sigabjorn, welcome in. Good afternoon to you too. So we'll be looking at the first 2 years of the ZX81. So 1981 and 1982. There will be 1 or 2 games in there that were actually made for the Timex-Sinclair 1000 originally, but also run on the ZX81, of course. They were compatible, apart from a slight difference, of course, in the frequency. But apart from that, they were the same. Yeah. I haven't tried those 2 yet, because I haven't had a chance with everything else that was going on. Although, I'm not quite sure which one they were chosen, so I'll have to look. Maybe one of them happens to come by. Who knows? But we'll... Hey, Curtis. Good morning to you, too. Another new subscriber as of Thursday. So for you too, Curtis, not just Blinky is there, but now we also have Clyde available for all our subscribers. Okay, that I'm pretty sure I got Gulp in here somewhere. Yep, Gulp will come by. Fortress, I don't think so. Nope. But we'll just go through, well, random order today. Well, alphabetical order, but that's more or less random. Now this one is a classic. As mentioned, we don't have audio, so it's pure atmosphere by what happens on the screen. And it starts with, hey, come on, anyone there? We're talking 3D maze. Roll up, see the amazing Tyrannosaurus Rex, king of the dinosaurs in his lair. Perfectly preserved in silicon since prehistoric times, he's brought to you for your entertainment and acceleration. If you dare to enter his lair, you do so at your own risk. The management accept no responsibility for the health and safety of the adventurer who enters this realm. The management advise that it is not the game for those of nervous disposition. If you are in any doubt, then press stop. If instructions are needed, then press list, otherwise press continue. Well, I guess we can do a quick instructions. Now this uses the standard cursor keys basically on the ZX81. 5, 6, 7 and 8. And we have to avoid being caught by Rex. Not something I succeed in often, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, either he catches me, or we escape and get to a new maze. Which basically means that you will always be dead in the end. This was a classic, and in those days we weren't of course used to really games with very big soundtracks, so this was, yeah, it was all fantasy, but it worked despite the character graphics. We'll have a play. It's been years since I played this, so we'll see. Of course, we are having a computer here running at 3.5 megahertz maximum, but 1.7 megahertz most of the time if it's displaying stuff. So don't expect miracles of speed. Okay, we got a map. Okay, I was wondering if I could do it, but we have to do it this way. At least he hasn't spotted us yet. Ah, always have to go one further than you think in this one. Let me try to find the exit. Just the fact that it constantly says that it's lying in wait and then footsteps approaching. That's a scary moment. He's beside you. He's behind me. Okay, has seen me. That's not good. For a moment we are rid of him, but he's nearby. Oh boy. There he was. I always have to move one square further than I think I have to. And this is a dead end. And we're killed. It's just a simple principle, but those days it was scary as hell to play this. It didn't have this joyous music in the background either. We usually played this in the dark on a black and white television, because it was black and white anyway. And we'll try once again. He's nearby. Uh-oh. Yeah, there was no sound. That's the sound you're hearing now is music from the ZX Spectrum games. Because I wouldn't want to do it to you to have just to listen to me talking all the time. Black and white, character mode graphics, no sound. We invented our own sounds back in the day. Especially if you were playing with a friend in the same room. They would make sure to make sounds. We actually reached the exit of the maze. That doesn't happen that often that I find the exit of a maze in this game. Yeah, Onivar has heard both singing. She has her opinions. But remember, we were young teenagers, so it was mostly just boo and stuff like that. Or paper bag that suddenly went kaboom. Well, you are now Sigabjorn. Thanks for the follow. Yeah, this was one of the classic games. Oh, oh. Yeah, I do announce them on Discord, so... Can I outrun Rex? Oh, dead end. That's never good. further. Yeah, the membrane keyboard didn't help. I agree. I'm now playing on a standard PC keyboard, and that does make a difference. Now, when I had my ZX Timex-Sinclair 1000, I did add a different keyboard at one point. And for the just like for the Spectrum, I added the DK-Tronics keyboard, and I'm not sure which one I had for the oops. Although with this game it wasn't that bad, the keyboard, because it was movement based on the number of moves, but games like Pac-Man and such of our days had their problems. But yeah, that was 3D Monster Maze. 3D Maze, one of the absolute classic 3D Monster Maze. One of the absolute classics on the ZX81. We go on to a version of... I first have to reset. I forget that I don't have a other option for this. Now this is another interesting one. You will notice that you only see a number in the middle there. That's actually the direction it's fighting on. So 4 is in one direction. 4 is down. 3... Not the best variation ever of Asteroids, but it's one way to do it, I guess. And killed. Yep, I remember seeing that one, Curtis. Yes, I can also move. Oops. The other way was easier. Games were somewhat more limited graphically back in the day, eh? But even this was quite a step forward compared to what was available on the ZX80, where we basically didn't have a mode that would display text or graphics while also doing calculations or checking the keyboard and such. Nope, didn't have any sound at all. It was completely bellless, speakerless, everything. Not the best Asteroids clone ever, but well, we had to make do with what we could get at the time. The ZX81 also had an interesting thing. I should go back to what the situation was with the ZX80. The ZX80, whenever it was doing calculations or stuff, it didn't have enough power to also display anything on the screen at the same time. because that was all done in the CPU. There was no helper chip, no ULA or anything. So whenever it was whenever it wasn't waiting for input, or wasn't in pause mode, which was basically the same, it would just show a screen with some random white and black streams going over it, until it wait for input, and then you could see what was on the screen. In the ZX80 that issue was somewhat resolved by giving it two modes. You could have a fast mode, which ran the CPU only for calculation and such, and you got the same effect as on the ZX80. Or you could have a slow mode where half of the cycles were used to display the screen. No, more than half. You only then in that situation I said it wrong. In that situation, the only time the calculations were done was when it was between scan lines. Ha. Instant question, Curtis. Yes, there were those options at times, but very limited. But they were around. There was also at some point there were sound cartridges, which were basically pushed into the back of the computer. But of course there was no standard for that. But yeah, we used to get some sound also on the TV if we did it at the correct frequency, especially during fast mode. But it was never perfect, of course, as you will understand. Let's see. Oh yeah, we went to Astral Convoy. They were different days. Very different days. I trust the music in the background isn't too loud. But you do hear it, I hope. Sika Bjorn, if I were drinking that, I would have a problem, since I got the gastric bypass nearly 5 years ago. And after gastric bypass, you don't have a valve at the bottom of your stomach. So whenever I would drink anything with alcohol, the alcohol goes into my bowels at once. Which means that I'm a very cheap drunk. When I have one beer, basically, it feels like I had 3 or 4 in the past. So I'm not taking that risk when streaming. Yes, it does, because there's no valve at the bottom of the stomach, so everything that's fluid goes directly into your bowels, and it can have interesting effects. But yeah, Astral Convoy. Let's see if I remember this. Ah yeah, this has a bit of a different keyboard setup. We actually got to... Oh yeah. Another thing that some of you may know from the ZX Spectrum, where you had commands on keys. You had it on the ZX81 too. Now in standard letter input mode, it just gives letters. But the ZX81 didn't have lowercase letters, it had only uppercase letters. So even with the standard shift, you got certain commands. So I wanted to do a shift F, and I got the word fast in there. Yeah, it was such a big difference. I know in the US the Timex-Sinclair 1000 went for I think $100 or $99 at the time, which was ridiculously cheap compared to any other system out there at the time. Okay, let's see. We use 1A, TY, and I have to remember not to use space, because spaces break and that breaks into the game. So we lose the B. Yeah, the ZX81 was originally available as a kit in the UK for 49. Oops, someone attacked me there. Where are they? Ah, there we go. 49.99, 40.99, yeah, in the UK, and the complete of the build one was 69.99. Come on. There we go. Oops, I guess I got attacked there. Or hyperspace, I guess. Or I just don't have any sight anymore. Okay. That makes the game difficult. No idea what's going on now. Yep, exactly. Sinclair, by going that low with their price, they actually got other makers to go. And yeah, you mentioned the MC10, the Tandy. There were others that did similar things. And especially when the Spectrum came out, of course, many producers brought down the price of their other systems. Like Commodore in the UK, or went with prices that were way lower than they were before. Ah! I lost the program. It failed, it looks like. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I guess there's a bug in the program somewhere. Which we're not gonna find today. But yeah, the Sinclair had an advantage when they... yeah, those came later, but even the C64 became a lot cheaper in Europe in response to Sinclair, and later to some degree Amstrad. Yeah, VIC-20 of course was a bit easier, but it was still a lot more expensive than a ZX81 or ZX80 would have been. Okay, L&M. Oh, it was a fun machine, the VIC-20. It was basically, of course, a pad with a few changes. Yeah, even in your part of the world that happened, I guess. Over here, game consoles weren't that big at that time yet, but yeah. Okay, I don't think I'm ready for the hardest level. Let's go for the easiest level. Yes, we actually had arcade game. Okay, An, see you later. Okay, I guess I lost my ship there. Indeed, Aaron. We are, of course, talking about similar time in history. Those machines also had the Z80 processor actually, so that they had in common too. When I went to high school, the first computer I ever touched was a Sinclair ZX80. And then a year later, when I was allowed in the computer club at school, we had TRS-80s Model 1s and 3s. I totally agree, Aaron. If you look at the game I was just playing, it's not easy, but it's actually not a bad game at all. It's a playable game. It's relatively quick, even on low levels. And we had to use our imagination. Eh? We didn't get to see a monster the way we would nowadays. Hey Odin! I'm fine, how are you? Yeah, we went real retro now. We went to the ZX81, which turned 40 yesterday. Ah, okay, I'm not allowed to hit those ones. That's why. It even has auto fire on the laser. Yeah, I said I wasn't allowed to hit the circle, the O's, huh? Yeah, these were way before you were born. The ZX81 turned adult before some of my viewers even were born. Not the ones in now, I think, but... I have to be careful, I'm not allowed to hit those that O there. Nah, that takes a few more years, huh? Yeah, so was I, Curtis, because we know that I turn the same age you are now at later this year, eh? But yeah, as you can see, it was actually possible to make decent playable games on these machines. Now, not all the games you will see today are that good. And some of them are really just basic. Because probably, yeah, see if I hit spacebar, I actually get to the basic listing. Now, this is looks a bit weird for basic, but that's because there was a little trick in the ZX81, and we did the same in the Spectrum. And I know it was also done in others. Because you knew that your program also started at the always started at the exact same address. So we often put machine language stuff in a RAM comment on the first or second line in our basic program. Because on the ZX81 you couldn't save code separately. You could only save the basic program. If I do a list 2, probably I will see. Yeah, there's more. So they have more. There's all assembly. Let's see if I... Let me guess that they start at 10. Yeah. And then the main program, the basic program that executes the assembly, starts at line 10. There is something for that, Odin, I think, but yeah, this one had an issue. I have to restart it from scratch, because if I try to run it, it loses a variable that it needs, because the variables are saved with the game. Exactly, Curtis. But that's why we, yeah, that's why these first years of systems from the early 80s are quite interesting. They are quite different from what you will get, for instance, if I go, when I look at an NES, or I will look at the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive pretty soon too. That's already time when games were more or less standardized among systems. But back in the early 80s and the late 70s, it was all people trying to find what they could do. Okay, 6-7, shoots with 0, bomb drop with 9. I go for level 1. Any key to start. Another scramble-like thingy. Oops. Yeah, the times have changed quite a bit indeed. I'm also pretty sure that even though this game is called Battlestar Galactica, they never paid any dues to the makers of Battlestar Galactica. It would very much surprise me if they had. Another thing they wouldn't get away with these days. Yeah, I agree, Miss Sam. Although this one, the ship is a bit on the large side, but it's doable still, yeah. And using the eye for the rockets also makes sense. Oh, and for the people who came in after the start of the show, stream, do realize that this system, the ZX81, doesn't have any sound. So what you're hearing is some music from a number of ZX Spectrum games. The same one I also use for my BYB screen and my starting soon screen. Yeah. Yeah, we know Odin is in too. He may not know certain terms, but yeah. You know which one I was referring to though, Odin. I'm not gonna repeat it because it's not a nice term, but yeah. Okay, I actually got a bit higher score. Okay. Knowing you, I was expecting the worst, Odin. Oh yeah, initial speed. Well, let's go for about halfway there. 5 and 8. Yeah, Wen got it. Yeah, and you ruined that quite a bit last Sunday. And here we got another one that is cloned on any system, basically. Breakout. I know. Yeah, good old Breakout. What I like about this one is that unlike many of the very simple versions, they actually seem to have done the concave version of the bat. So depending on where on the bat the ball comes, the angle is different. That's something often missing from the really default versions. Yeah, which is surprising, Curtis, because let's put it this way: Odin is not the most. It's not the one I would expect to go for subtleties. So. I know you are. That's why I don't expect subtlety from you. Ah, come on. That was bad. There we go. That's what I was looking for. At least we get a bit of a hole this way. Yeah, this version is actually quite good. But you notice that if I hit it really with the last location of the bat, it goes just a bit different than when it hits one character in. Also realized that the ZX81 didn't really have graphics. Once again, what it used were quarter character cells basically that you could make black. I'm not saying this game is perfect, but it makes for an interesting challenge, not just random, okay, where do I end up? So you can actually have some control. Yeah, the only leveling that you can do is by choosing the ball and the general movement speed. You select at the start, you can choose which speed you want. So you have a speed between 1 and 999. I'm not quite sure which way they go, so we'll see what happens if I do a 1. Just do a 1 ball. We'll see if that goes extra quick. Oh no, you actually do it. You have a progressive where it gets faster later on. I'm not sure if 1 is the fastest or the slowest. We will see. The slowest, okay. I'll lose that 1 ball and then I will go for the... Yeah, as far as I could see, Curtis, it didn't react to the speed I was moving at, but that was the only thing missing, really. And we'll do 3 balls at the highest speed. And we do progressive. Okay, this becomes a lot less playable suddenly. So yeah, the initial speed you set lower is slower, and then with the progressive mode the speed will slowly get up. If you leave it on normal, it stays at the same speed. A pretty decent version. Okay, I know an issue with this that I've seen before with this game. Some of you may know that I like my Centipede. And this is just one, yeah. Now this is a Dutch version. And it's not the worst version I've ever seen, but they have an issue. I actually know Henk de Roo. I met him a few years ago. I didn't know he had written this game, but I do happen to know him. Now, okay, once again we have speed. 1 is extremely fast, 20 is slow. We'll go for 14. And I will start with 3 lives. Now this is a relatively standard Centipede. With one issue, I don't know if you noticed, there were only 3 keys defined. So it's missing something that any decent Centipede should have. You cannot move upward. Same mistake that was made in the BBC version of the game. Because that means that you basically get a completely different game. Because you can no longer... Now that I missed that one, I just die. Exactly. And because I was stupid enough to I now get a quicker speed. Yep. Okay, the timing on this is not exactly the easiest one. Okay, there we go. It does have auto fire, but that goes too slow basically. Okay, now I die, but it also was the last one that so I got another level done by dying. And it changes the speed again. But yeah, it's irritating that it misses the up thing. No, because I can't avoid this. But this was my last life, so yeah. Earthworm, you're gone. You're a goner, was basically what it said there. And they actually have a Hall of Fame Hall of Fame, sorry. Yeah, it's this actually could have been a very decent game if they just had changed a few small things in it, because it was actually worked quite well. Yeah, but that goes for many games, Curtis, let's be honest. Now this of course is a classic. I'm the grayish one, so the blocky one. The computer is the black one and blocked me just there. No intro screen, just we start playing. Ah, and accidentally hit up. Ah, got lucky there. Computer thinks about its changes. Let's lock the computer in somewhat. At least it won't be able to escape now from that section it's in, and I have more space, I think. Well, especially if it starts doing those kind of stupid things. Yeah, this of course is a variation on Tron, or whatever you want to call it. Hi, Don Pallbearer. Welcome in again. Nice to see you again. How you doing, mate? Today we're celebrating the 40th birthday yesterday of the Sinclair ZX81. Time when computers didn't have graphics. Okay, now it looks as if I haven't hit anything, but it took a bit of time to adjust. Okay, 6, 7, 0 to fire. Okay. Snake came out before, yeah, but I'm not completely sure what the order was with Tron movie, etc. Where in Canada were you at again, Paul? Don Pallbearer? You're not the only Canadian in, by the way. Curtis is in Canada, and Onivar, who is lurking, I think, is also in Canada. Here auto fire actually makes sense. Also known as the Middle Eastern part of rest of Europe, of the world, huh? Okay, you're north part of Ontario. That's still English talking. It's not the French part yet, but... What, you're actually above 0 at the moment, Curtis? This was another thing you had in this game. Some of them just would stay on the end screen, and the only way to get out was by hitting break. And then to play again, you would do run. The reason why you don't see any updates while it's the first start, after I hit enter, is because the game went into fast mode, so where the screen wasn't updated. In reality, in the original one, you would then see those black and white stripes, but here it just doesn't do anything on the screen, so it leaves the screen as is. That's why you see my latest input at the time. Oh, nice. Quite a difference compared to the -20 you had earlier this winter. Yep, that would be Netherlands indeed. I'm one of the people in here in the Netherlands. When is the other one? We got some Americans in. And some Brits. You get them from all over in this stream. I know, Curtis. I've never been in -40. I have been in Canada in -23, I think it was the lowest I had. I can't think of what tune it's from, but I do recognize it too, Mr. Yama. I just have 2 hour 45 music from the Spectrum set. And I would have to look up what the games are. Ah, Rotterdam, okay. A bit further to the west than I am. I'm originally from Maastricht. I live in Eindhoven nowadays. So southeastern parts. You're right, of course, Michiyama. I was thinking whether I recognize this from, but yes, it is. Nope. Notice how they used the number in the ship to tell you how many lives you have. It's also at the top, but that way you don't have to check for the number of lives at the top of the screen. Once again, a decent arcadey game. Not a direct clone, but close enough that it is recognizable. Yes, I need instructions for this, because I seem to remember that I know. Is this... Ah yeah, it's this one. Okay, I know what it is. Another classic game theme. Try to stop the walls from coming to the top of the screen. You only need one key in this, so I have my other hand free. I will keep it above the table though, no worries. So basically this is all about your timing. If you hit at the right moment, you can take out a lot of blocks in one go. If not, it's one block at a time, as you saw there. And we get more worlds coming up, and the only thing you can do is keep it up as long as possible without any of the blocks hitting the top of the screen. Oops. Oh well. This is very much a high score game only. It's there's no ending. Oops. It's difficult to hit that last one. Oh, I know a way. This way. There we go. It's kind of funny how basically with very simple idea you make a game that's actually somewhat challenging. Or more than somewhat actually. No, in between. Almost. Nope. There we go. So we get to work on the second wall now. I'm pretty sure there were versions of this game for other systems too. It's a classic idea, really. Of course, I'm looking towards Curtis to see if he is gonna tell us that there was a version for the Coco. That's what I expected. I don't think I'm gonna make this one. Especially if I keep missing those. And that's the end. Ah, I'm surprised I even got through the first wall completely. Let's see what they did. No, they didn't even delete the game, so you could actually look at what was in the game. If I do a list 1, there are your machine code routines, and they knew the exact address there. I used to be able to actually know what they did there to some degree, because I knew the character codes and opcodes back in the day, because I didn't have an assembler when I had my Timex-Sinclair 1000, so I had to do everything by hand then too. I still remember some opcodes from back then, and I also remember a lot of hexadecimal and decimal values together. C9, 201, return, or RET in ZAT assembly, for instance. Yeah, at some point one just knows all those basic keywords by heart, but that's a long time. Ah yeah, I made the same mistake I did last week. I have to go... Yeah, this is an interesting issue. Yeah, I can't do that, but... It's now stuck. It should just load and work. But if I do a run, I think it's trying to save now. Yeah, I have to, that was it. 1, 3. Oh no, 1, 2. Go to 2. There we go. Now we saw this one this past Saturday. So I will only do a very quick game of it. And we will do a higher skill level. What were the keys on this? Ah yeah, AZ. Timing is off. In my progress stream, this one came by too. It's a bit of a different variation on Frogger compared to what we normally see. Including the fact that you can't drop off on the side. So you can just wait on the side until you get something. But for the system, it's still playable. But that was just a very quick play. As I said, we saw it last Saturday. Yeah, this is the version of Galaxians that had a few extra options. As you can see, you can set the speed level and the firing rate, but you can also set it to no swooping, which meant it basically becomes a variation on Space Invaders more than a Galaxians. But we will do the standard version. Not the easiest version ever, but it's, once again, it's playable. And it's clear what is what, so one can't really complain about it, I guess. I won't, but... Of course, we're talking about a shoot 'em up, and we all know how good I am at shoot 'em ups. Doesn't mean I don't enjoy them. I still enjoy them, but yeah. By the way, Wen, I'm not sure if you're listening still, but this music was made by the same system, the Spectrum, that also made the music in Manic Miner. Be it that they didn't have to use the CPU in those days, because they had another option by then. But yeah, that was a quick one of Galaxian. Not quite sure what this was. Arctic Computing, a name we have seen also in the ZX Spectrum, for instance. And they were known for some pretty bad games, but they had a few games that were actually quite playable. Ah, now this is music I recognize at once. I think some others in the stream will too. Be it that we mostly played it on the Amiga a while ago. Now my ship just keeps moving. And I can only change the direction. I can only shoot when it's a certain distance from the Klingon. I moved too quick there. The other way around, please. Ah, moved too far down. Okay, there we go. Klingon gone. Was that the last Klingon on this one? It looks like it, so we go to the starport. Ah, held the key too long. Well, okay. We go to the next screen. Now, in this case, we don't have moving Klingons. We can set the Klingons to move. That makes it a bit difficult. I keep getting confused by the keys. Of course, I'm not allowed to fly into the stars or anything, nor into the Klingons directly. As it is now, it's not the hardest game, but can get a lot harder in certain modes. It was actually a game I used to play quite a lot, be it that I then usually had moving Klingons. I vaguely remember. And here in this game it was a combination of not just the membrane keyboard being an issue, but keyboard reaction in general, because keyboard reaction on this one is pretty damn bad. I actually did press rotate to the left, but yeah, as it is now, it is. I will see if I can, if I run it, yeah. I'll leave it a bit slower than 3, and I will have moving Klingons. And that becomes a bit more difficult at least. At least they don't move once you have shot. But this is how I usually play it, although by the end I played it faster than this, but it's been a while, so I had to press 0 twice before it finally shot. Okay, well, I guess the idea behind the game is clear. It keeps repeating this. It was not the best game ever, let's be honest about that. Yeah, this one is kind of funny. Someone made this and whole text with it. It's standard cursor keys. It's a variation on, well, I guess you can guess. Not a very good one though. Yeah, that's absolutely it, Curtis. You're completely right. It's competition for Donkey King. Whoops. Only one life. It's quite playable, but it's not the best version we've ever seen of Pac-Man. Okay, the Gauntlet. No, has nothing to do with the game Gauntlet. That was later than this. Trying to think what the keys were on this. QA. 6 to fire or to... Yeah, okay. It's another Scramble clone. Actually, a quite decent one. We have bombs, we have our rockets. We got the fuel meter actually that needs to be kept an eye on. Which quite a few of the simpler one didn't have, and I'm sure there's also somewhere where I can move forward, but I don't know which keys those are. Oops. I actually used to have this version back in the day, and for the time I thought it was pretty close to the original Scramble. Of course, looking back on it, it wasn't as close as I thought it was, but better than most. Yeah, scrolling on the other one was a bit better, but overall control on this one is a bit better actually. I need some fuel, huh? Ah, right into a rocket. Yeah, because of the larger graphics, they have more to do in between, so yeah, it becomes less fluid. But both have their pros and cons. This is a more complete game than the other one. What else do we have? Gloops. With a gobbler and a ghost and power pills. So we can guess what this is gonna be. Yes, it's another one. But once again with a bad mace, and it's not reacting to my keys the way it should. Ah, there it is. Ah, they got it different and they don't have the cursor keys. They have 8 and 9 for up and down. I'm so used to... Ah. They made an interesting choice in this one, actually. I don't know if anyone happened to notice it. They did change the map, but not as much as in some. They actually have doors, of portals at the top and everything. Basically, they made a rotated version of the map. With some changes which aren't very successful. But the idea wasn't bad to move it this way around. Because that's a problem in many home computer Pac-Man versions, that the map isn't the right direction. But by doing it this way, with moving the holes to go through to the other side, you get at least a bit more normal. Just a shame they changed the complete map to a mess. I keep hitting up when I want to go down. And I die. And now we get to one that some of you will have already played. For a certain other show that will be on tomorrow. AGR Presents. Which will be on... this channel tomorrow. Oops. Ah. I of course have to type the right thing. For those who don't know, this is Amigos Retro Gaming, where on Friday evening, European time, we have an Amiga show. And on Sundays, now I have to be careful, it's 4 PM nowadays, at 10 AM Eastern, 4 PM Central European time. We have the ART Presents, which does a different system every time. And tomorrow, the system will be the Timex-Sinclair 1000, so the American and Portuguese version of the ZX81, which Aaron will be playing one game and his brother will be playing the other game. And one of the games that we're playing is this one, Gulp, that I will be playing here now. I have to check for the keys on this one, if they are any different than what I'm used for. No, I wanted to see... do we have the keys in there? 5 to 8, yeah, okay, standard. It's another variation on Pac-Man, but it makes the same mistake that I made when I first made a Pac-Man game. The ghost is too damn smart, which means that you get a completely different game. Because the ghost just searches for you very directly. Basically, if you look at it, it's a lot like a 2D version of the first game we played in this stream, 3D Monster Maze. The one exception that this actually goes after you, while in 3D Monster Maze, Rex only goes after you once he's seen you. But it's basically a very similar game. It's okay, but not one of the best. And since, I'm trying to think, was it Mitsuyama who said that he tried both of them earlier and one was good, the other not so good? I hope the other one is the better one then, because if this was the best of the two... Okay, you like this, okay. It's okay, but not one I would play for more than a few minutes, you know? Oh boy. Then I'm afraid of the other one. Oh yeah, I know this one. Try to shoot a moving line. Yeah, I know you can't change that. I know that. Okay. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's. I really need a haircut. Good thing I have one on Friday. I think that was too early. Yeah, just a bit too early. There, I shot one. Wow. My last haircut was in beginning of October. No, end of September actually. Because I wanted to go in December. And I had to postpone it due to, I don't even know what it was, but something came up that meant that I had to postpone it with a week. And that week where I had wanted to go then, the second time, turned out that was when they closed everything down over here. Yeah, this is a bad shooting gallery, basically. So I went to the hairdresser on Wednesday when they were allowed to open again and asked him, went for an appointment. He actually tried to fit me in on Wednesday himself, but he couldn't do it. He said, no, I'm sorry, I have too many, it just doesn't fit. But yeah, that meant that I have next Friday. Might be too early. Yeah, it was too early. But do I? No. But yeah, it's well, I don't know if what it does, if it just goes on. No idea when this ends, if you have a certain number of missiles or whatever. I'm sure there were some instructions on the cassette inlay for this, but why would I read those, you know? It's way too long in the neck. I may, by the way, be interrupted. I forgot to mention this earlier in the stream, because DHL decided in all their wisdom that between 4 PM and 9:30 PM today would be the perfect time to deliver a package. you would presume correct. Completely in basic. If I go on from... Notice the plot command. There's also Rise to Slow because they are actually using the graphics system 64 by 20 now by 24 but 22 usable. No, 64 by 44 usable lines. But at only quarter characters, so it looks a bit weird. Yeah, these are just plot and unplot. It's a typical basic game. It works. But yeah, that's what we often got, these kind of things, and this was actually not the worst one I've ever seen. There is an infamous tape that existed for the ZX81, for the Spectrum, also for the C64 and some others. Yeah, we didn't have colored in this one. That was tape 50, or cassette 50. And that had all these kind of games, but often way worse than these ones were. And they actually did ask money for this. Okay, this actually used to be one of my favorite games back in the day, but I still go for beginner because it's been too long since I played it. First you try to open some holes. While avoiding all the shrapnel that's coming down. Then you have to try and shoot the ship. Yep, it is. And the worst part is, it also rebuilds itself if you're not fast enough. And you actually have to hit it in the center, if I remember correctly. Of course, one shot at a time. And if you hit one of the black blocks, it will rebuild the ship. Ain't that nice? Oh, I had to move one further, of course. Now that was an oops, Wen, if you're still listening. There we go, we got the mothership. We got quite a big bonus. But you can see why this was a game that was fun for me back in the day. It's actually quite a decent game. I'm now in beginner mode, extra mode it gets a lot harder. course, superior forces. There's always superior forces. We start again, but stuff goes a bit faster. Yeah, they used graphics well. Didn't overdo it. Didn't try to make large graphics or anything. Just simple. Use what's available. I hit the black box. Well, you see, the moment I hit one of those black ones, the ship repairs itself. But yeah, this is very good use of the graphics. And I lost. But I beat at least one ship. And we actually get a high score. And this was, as I said, I mentioned earlier, Arctic Computing had a few very bad games, but this was one of their better games, I felt. And this, of course, is an assembly. I will do a very quick one on export. Why? Oh yeah, I'm using the wrong keys. I know, the keys are wrong in this one. This is interesting. Keys don't work. Zero honeymoon. Yeah, there's an error in here. The keys are not right. Okay, there we go. I got something that works. Well, yeah, you notice that the speed was a lot higher in this one. Well, yeah, this is one of those games that I really loved back in the day and played for hours and hours. Now, to show that Arctic Computer also dared to charge money for stuff that really wasn't worth it, this was another of their games. All you can do is press new line to play. Ah, I actually won something. Means we have to sit through this longer. Yeah, this is considered a game. Hitting enter. And then if you want too much, you broke the bank and the game just stopped. Yes, they charged for this. One of those games that you could get from the advertisements in the magazines. It's hard to imagine that was from the those two games were from the same company. That's the difference. Okay, guess what we have here? If you look at what happens at the bottom of the screen, you will know this is another Pac-Man clone called Mazeman. Oh yeah, it's normal, and we are talking the first 2 years now. The ZX81 didn't live that long, of course. It was only produced until 1984. But yeah, that's what you had. But yeah, those companies tried to sell everything they could find. And let's just say, I don't know if you noticed, the moment a ghost is onto you, it changes from an A into a B, and that means that you, it will continue to follow you. it's almost impossible to shake off them, like now. But yes, indeed, Curtis, that was what happened, but Arctic didn't have the best name out there. We come to another classic game. Mazogs was also later converted to Spectrum version and some other systems. WAD, oh yeah, okay, WSHJ, that was what I used, yeah. It's making a maze for me. Now I can actually look through the maze to get some idea of where I have to go, but only for a very limited time. I first have to find a treasure, if I remember correctly, and then I have to find afterwards back to the exit. Okay, this is the way to go. So you can have some prisoners that can tell you stuff about where to go. And if you want to pass an opponent, you have to have a sword. But once you have beaten that opponent, the sword goes away. You have to hope to find a sword quickly again. Otherwise you can't pass them. Oh, there is some help. Okay, it's that way. Hey, Humsky, aka Paul. How you doing, mate? I got the sword again. Was glad you mentioned the ZX81's birthday yesterday, Paul, because that gave me a perfect reason to play this today. That's a sword I can't get to, but this one I can. There have been a version before, I seem to remember, of Jetpack. This is a new version, Paul. I don't think I need to tell you which game this is, Paul. Eh? Yeah, I actually saw your Adventure stream on Adventure A, which was the reason why I didn't include Adventure A or any of the adventures in this stream today. I thought, no, let's leave the adventures to Paul for now. Oh, please tell me where I need to go. I guess I have to go through here. Adventure A wasn't that bad actually, eh? Ah, we found the chest. Thank you, Wen. Hope to see you later or Otherwise tomorrow, of course. Now, where did I come from? There's an interesting issue, because you can't carry both the chest and the sword, so... Plan now is to slow... Oops! Ah, okay, there's a sword there and I don't have... Pretty sure I'm going in the wrong direction, but... Hope you... Always nice to have you here when you know that, eh? Ah, and that's... My life gone. Oh no, I got lucky. Most of the time you die when you have to go through them. Where's a prisoner when you need him? I thought you could also find him on the way back, but okay. Let's first get rid of this spider. Ah, I didn't pay attention. And there we go, we're dead. What did I miss? Where was I? Ah. As you can see, the maze is relatively large on this game. But yeah, it's that was a game I also played quite a bit back in the day. You too, eh, Curtis? I did the same. Although the ones I wrote were usually not usable, I felt. I only shared them with a few of my direct friends. But I played quite a few. Ah yes, it's this one. And it teases you, see the map, you learned it, and then says, well, that's not the map you're gonna play on. Exactly. Now talk about interesting keys. 1 to the left. 0 right, okay, not too bad. 2 down, 9 up. Sure, makes perfect sense. Ah, nice. No, I didn't think mine were suitable for anyone but some of my friends, especially the ones I didn't like too much. Ah, can't outrun them, okay. This is today, Frodo, R.I.P. Well, you get the idea. It's a very simple game, and yes, it's written in BASIC. Hi, Crazy Luminous. Welcome in. How are you? We're having a look at ZX81 games from 1981 and 1982, because the ZX81 turned 40 yesterday. Now this is a Quicksilver game, and I have to check the keys on this one, because... Okay, 7 left, 7 right, 6 left, then probably 8 and 9 for up and down, yes. Another variation on Pac-Man. Once again, not a very good one. Which what basically comes down to what later will be known as the Sinclair joystick keys. Sinclair joystick 1. 6, 7, 8, 9 for the directions and 0 for fire. Which was a bit of a weird choice on ZX81, because the ZX81 had the cursor keys on 5, 6, 7, 8. But I know the reason why they did it, because that meant that they could do all the inputs with one in command, because the ZX81, like the ZX80 before it and the Spectrum after it, had a keyboard where the keys were spread over half lines in one input in command. So they only had to do one in and then just do some ands and ors to check for controls. But it meant that for the player it was very irritating, because the keys were just not logical. We'll see what happens when we finish the maze. We get another maze that's exactly the same, basically. Thank you, Crazy Loomis. The tunes you're hearing are is music from the ZX Spectrum games, because the ZX81 didn't have any sound whatsoever, so I didn't want you guys to only hear my voice all the time, because I'm boring at the best of times, so I didn't want to do that to you guys. Okay, now another classic. Some of you have seen this one before on other systems that I played it on. Of course, an arcade game from 1970 something. I have to check the keys on this one. I think I know it, but nope. What are the keys on this? Okay. Ah, okay. These are the ones. I don't know if I also can do a speed change in this one. Probably not in this version. I like that plan actually, Curtis. Yep, this was 3D for us back in the day. Now this is a bit limited version, but it's not exactly easy to play. But that was the same for the original, of course. I'm checking a bit of where exactly my limits are on the road. I didn't think I was hitting anything there, but for some reason I thought I did. But yeah, it's a classic game. Basically, of course, very easy. Yeah, well, I spent some quarters on it myself, indeed. Now, this is a game that a lot of people, especially in the States, will recognize. And probably also in Canada. But this is a bit of a weird version. I think it was originally for the Apple, if I remember correctly. But this version has a bit of a few extras that I haven't seen before. Okay, we have 700, we need auctions. If I remember correctly, you want about 4 auction. That's $100. You want food. Okay. I'll go for beginners level. They want you to test how good you are with the keyboard if you can find the keys first. Which is something I haven't seen in other versions. For those who have played variations of this before. As far as I know, this is not a part of most versions, is it? At least not the PC version and the Apple version I played before. Yeah, weapon calibration. I haven't seen that before. Maybe that I just haven't seen the versions where it's in, but... Okay, we want 4 options. We get 50 bullets per more. Notice that my shooting average there is based on what I did in that first section. But there's a lot less info than I'm used to from other games. Will do. So I have to stop the wild animals by shooting them. I guess it's better than the random versions that you got in many of these games, but... Barricade. Did anyone of you guys there play this, the original version of this before? Let's go to the next port. Just a second, yeah. Oregon Trail is basically a famous game, but this is a bit of a weird one. use medicine because you were rather ill. Yeah, but I don't remember having to calibrate guns and to shoot with using the right, hitting the right keys, etc. Eh? I died after 6 weeks. You can another 4 doctor's bill. The original Oregon Trail has way more things happening anyway. You usually have a family of 4, I think. You can usually also set names. And the famous you have to cross rivers, and then it depends on do you want to fjord the river or do you want to wait for what do you call it? A ferry, or do you want to go around? Sure, play your best. Fast, please. Yeah, I want to go first. Well, this is a game that a lot of you will know. I can actually suggest to play a good version of the Oregon Trail if you've never played it before, Paul. It's the Apple II version was quite decent. There's a decent DOS version going around somewhere, and it's fun. It's a classic in the US. That school kids basically all had to play. It was of course linked to the whole move to the west. Okay, I'm not sure what happened here. For some reason it's suddenly gone. Guess something's buggy in that version. Either that or... Well, I'm sure you've all seen Othello Reversi before. Two. Yeah. No. Backgammon, famous of course. We had quite a few versions of this back in the day, and Psion made some pretty decent versions of it. We wait for the ZX81 to move, if it wants to. Ah, of course, it was in fast mode trying to calculate what to do best. And yes, it actually did go for the best move in this situation. Double 4, okay, could have been a lot worse. Just a shame that E is blocked, so we will go for L. Do that twice. Interface is a bit slow, but that is something we know. And we move from P to T twice. Hi RDJ70. Yeah, I'm a Spectrum fan originally, but at the moment I'm doing its predecessor, the ZX81, which turned 40 yesterday. Doing some games from the first 1.5 years basically of the ZX81. How are you doing? I'm assuming, just guessing, that the 70 is your year of birth, so you're close to my age. You had your own Spectrum back in the day? Yep. Exactly, Hermsky. Now, what you see when you see the screen suddenly change size, that's when the computer changes to fast mode, because then I know. I had mine. I had my Timex-Sinclair 1000, so the Portuguese version of the ZX81. This is positive. In what was it? Yeah, 1982, and then 1983 I got my own Spectrum. And used it until I was. Well, until 1990 basically, when I went to PC. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, although that will be technically the American version, but it's the same computer. There were some interesting differences, by the way, between the ZX81 and the Timex-Sinclair 1000, Paul Rumsky. Do you know the differences? Apart from a small change in the ROM, of course, for the copyright. Okay, there were two differences, basically. One was... Okay, why is this happening? Or is it in fast mode? Could be that it's fast mode. Let's wait for a moment. Yeah, see, it's fast mode. Yeah, nice coincidence, Aaron. Now, while the ZX81 had 1K RAM, the Timex-Sinclair 1000 had 2K RAM in its default setup. Another difference, which was somewhat irritating back in the day, was that the ZX81, like the Spectrum afterwards, had UHF signal. I think they were both at channel 36, but being a machine that was originally based for the US, the Timex-Sinclair 1000 same for the Portuguese version, actually was a VHF signal. It was settable to, and you could actually change the channel between 2 and 3. But that was gave quite a lot more interference on the lines than the UHF signal on the ZX81 did. But those were the two big differences between the machines. And especially the 2K RAM made a difference, because I, for instance, wrote a Pac-Man back in the day, and if you want to use the whole screen on the ZX81, it has an interesting habit, because it only uses as much memory as you use on the screen. If you use one character on a line, it uses a byte for the character and 1 byte for the new line character. If you use the full line, 32 characters, it uses 32 characters. So the screen memory wasn't always the same amount, and that could be used if you want to make something that ran in 1K especially, or in 2K in my case. And my Pac-Man, I used just under half the screen for that. So that used, instead of 768 bytes, I only used about, I think it was 320 or something like that bytes. And when it was complete, it worked quite well, but I never played the original Pac-Man, and a friend of mine tried it and he said, this is way too hard. Turned out I shouldn't make the ghosts just go directly for my character all the time. So then I had to add a little routine to it. And that meant that I didn't have enough bytes, so I actually had to cut one column of my maze to be able to afford 24 more bytes, and I needed 22 of those for my code to make a bit of more random reaction for the ghost. They were quite interesting machines. Okay, I won't complete this game, but I'm sure you all know backgammon anyway. Oh, I saw it, I just never played it, Aaron, and I thought, okay, it's an interesting game, so I thought I should be able to do that in assembly, and it worked, just a bit too good. Ah yeah, here we go again. Z left, M right, N down, X up. Okay. This may look familiar. No, I don't have it anymore. But the other one. I wish I still had it, but no, that disappeared together with everything else that was related to. Yeah, except that in this one you don't get to fire, so you just have to get to the exit at the top left. And I think there's 7 screens in total in this one. So they basically made it into a maze game instead. How I got there, I don't know, because somehow I got through that wall there. Yeah, one would think Berserk, but I guess they started on that and couldn't complete it, so they decided to make it into something else instead. Ah, I can actually walk through walls for some reason. Oh my! T, thank you for the raid. That's a surprise. I had not expected that. Thank you so much. And thank you for the follow. Who was that followed there? I missed that for a moment there. But yeah, welcome in all. I'll quickly change to my main screen. Hi, for those who don't know me, although I think I've run into most of you before, I'm FrodoNL. I'm a retro gamer mostly, although I also do a few modern games. I have done one stream at least, but mostly retro gamer. And I mostly play games from the early 80s, from the early 80s through the mid 90s. Mostly home computer games and console games, which I mostly play on my MiSTer FPGA. And today we're doing a stream on the ZX81, Sinclair ZX81, the computer from 1981, that actually turned 40 yesterday, which is why we do this one today. We are looking at some games from the first 2 years of the system. And I've done that for a number of systems, but it games, there are some very good ones in there. Thank you, Suits. I won. That's something that a lot of people seem to see. It's okay, Mike. It's okay. That goes for more people. But yeah, we go for a lot of very old games. And yeah, in this case, as I said, we're doing the ZX81, which is a bit of a weird system for a lot of you guys, I guess, because a lot of you were born less than 40 years ago, I'm pretty sure. The ZX81 was a system that didn't have real graphics, didn't have color, and didn't have sound. So what you're hearing actually in music is music from a later system, the ZX Spectrum, which was the computer that Sinclair sold after the ZX81, which did have color and did have sound. But at the moment we are doing some games, as I said, from the ZX81, which are often very simple games, although for the time being there were some very good ones. Now this one is by a rather well-known programmer, and of course I forgot his name, but I could see it here. Don Priestley, who on the Spectrum became famous with a number of other games, but this was one of his earlier games. Yeah, I guess most of you haven't seen my face before. Eh? I've chatted with most of you, I know that. Okay, T. I'm assuming your stream went well. Sorry, I completely forgot to ask because I'm not used to raids, really. As you can see, there's no graphics on the system, but people tended to use the characters they had available as much as possible to make something that looked a bit graphically. I'll be the Saboteur. That was the most fun part anyway, if I remember correctly. Well, no more input lag than the ZX81 itself had, of course. The MiSTer FPGA is a pretty decent system when it comes to... Okay, I have a problem here because I cannot get out of here without using a bomb, but if I use a bomb I know it will also explode myself. Oh well, nothing I can do. Thankfully I can still go on. Why are my keys wrong now? This is interesting. Looks like the system, there's an error in the game because my keys are no longer correct. Oh. At least get out of the way here. Nope. That is indeed the issue. Yeah, for some reason the queue suddenly goes down instead of up. Ah, the WS works, yeah. Let's put a bomb here. Oops, and the guard got me, shot me on sight. So my final score is 180. Yeah, RNG wasn't fair, wasn't nice there. Let's try one more time. For those who haven't seen my streams before, I go through a number of games in a stream, usually about 20 to 25. Just having a look at what's up there. Okay, let's get out of the way of that. Let's put an explosive here and... one as far away as I can before it explodes, and let's hope it... There we go. It took the guard, so that's an extra point for me. Ah, didn't hit any boxes. I put it too far away from the boxes. Okay. But this should be a good one. There we go. It actually took the guard again, so that's another. But now I have a problem. Unless I'm lucky with how the boxes, the added box go. Ah, it could be worse. But I have to stay out of sight of the guard if I can. Put explosive here, and I have a problem. The guard has spotted me, so I will be dead. No, I've got lucky. A bit like it, although we did have Minesweeper versions on these systems too. In this case, I am trying to... Why am... Ah, I'm looking at the wrong character. I'm trying to just explode as many... Sabotage as much as possible, and I got shot by the guard. But yeah, these were the kind of games we had. We had some simple 3D games back then too, but very simple. Let's see. Oh, we got 4 more to go. Okay. Nice. That will make for about a 3-hour stream then. B to drop, 5 and 8. Okay. Not the easiest keys, but we'll see. Of course, there was no joystick usually with these systems. There were joystick interfaces later on, but... Try to avoid that one. And I have to try and land on the 3 platforms without hitting any of the stars. So you try to find an opening there. And that was a mistake. I should have moved to the left there. And now if Ren were still in here, she could do an oops, but... Actually, I'm pretty sure I know one lurker that could do an oops. But since he's lurking, I will do it myself. And I deserve 2 for that, because it was twice the same mistake. I'll try once more, see if I can make it through the first sheet at least. It's kind of funny, a lot of the games you see here are of course very basic, and often they are actually written in BASIC. But these are what current games are often based on. A lot of stuff you will find in current games is not that different, it's just graphically different. Ah, couldn't make that one. Nope. Okay, I'll give it one more try. One of those games that it's so simple that it becomes addictive. Especially since you know that you can basically do it, of course. As long as you don't do these kind of things. So for everyone in now, what was your first gaming experience? What system? did you guys start on? $2,600, yep. A lot of people have started on that one, RCJ. Oh, and just since I mentioned, given your 1970, I was born in 1968. We'll go for another one. It helps if I load. It's not like cartridges in... Yeah, Jiggly, you did mention it previously. Yep. SNES, I used that. I played that a few weeks ago, actually. No, I don't need instructions with this one, I'm pretty sure, because I think this is only one key. You just have to time when you hit it. Just a question which key. Okay, maybe I should have read the instructions. I know, it's a 6. And that was not the best ball ever. Let's see if we can make it into spare at least. Looks likely. Notice there's no spin on the ball, so it's just you have to hit the front one to make a spare, or in this case probably a strike, although no. A bit of randomization on there. That's the one bit of spin there is, as randomized spin. Irritating split, and I'm gonna miss it completely, it looks like. Yeah. Well, maybe I got a ball. Ain't that nice? Another got a ball, I'm guessing. Yep. Okay, you actually got it working on a modern TV, because that's often a problem with classic systems. They basically work, but not every modern TV can handle them that well. $2,600 isn't that expensive to get over here these days still. It's different if you want to get certain other systems these days. Of course, the time when I wanted to move up, it doesn't. Yeah, 2600 had some fun games. Which cartridge did you get with it? Ah, I got my strike. Okay. Don't tell me I hit 2 strikes in a row. I did, wow. Yeah, this is not your Wii bowling. Not the best split ever. Okay. Pac-Man, of course, wasn't very good on the 2600, but we know that. But Defender is reasonable, I seem to remember. Combat, I think only fun with 2 players. I think it's only 2 player actually, even. Empire Strikes Back, I don't remember playing. Jaws Revenge is pretty decent. Missile Command. Yeah, I seem to remember that was pretty decent too. And Space Invade as well. You can't really go wrong with that one, eh? So yeah, nice set. Always fun to go back to our once used, eh? Ah, okay. I'll just finish the game. Last frame now. I myself never owned the 2600. I actually never owned any consoles apart from Nintendo DS and DS3 or 3DS, but I always had home computers, and then in 1990 I switched to PC. Okay, this is not the split I'm gonna hit, I'm sure, but oh well. Okay, talking about the Amiga, yeah. Oh, I hit that split somehow. Okay. Amiga is fun. I had actually planned for this past Thursday to do Amiga first year off, but I couldn't do that in the end because I didn't have everything available and working. But I did do an Amiga stream on Thursday. Some random games where people, I actually took people's suggestions, which were often based on just a title that they thought might look interesting, and it made for some interesting games, some games I'd never played before. It's a fun system, the Amiga. It had, as every system, its issues, but it was pretty good. I never owned one myself, by the way, but I played on them at times, and a friend of mine had the Atari ST, which I played on more, actually. Yeah, this is fun. This is the first ever implementation on the Sinclair ZX81 of the popular arcade game Puckman. Well, I know that there were multiple versions before this one came out. And this one is not that good anyway. Let me see what the keys are. Yeah, first of all, they don't have a power pill, but they change automatically in color and then you can eat them. So it's not even a very good one. QX. No. 5, 6, 7, 8. I know those. They used the right character to make the ghosts, of course. The version I was talking about that I made myself back in the day used the exact same character for the ghosts. It does have the power pole, so the instructions aren't correct even. It was said every 30 seconds they change, but they don't. You need to take the power pill for them to change. So not just are they lying about it being the first version for the ZX81, they lie about how it works too. I'm not saying this is the worst version of Pac-Man I ever played on the ZX81, because we saw worse earlier. Oh yes, he... Oops. I can't escape there. Well, it's a Pac-Man variation. And it's a good thing they spelled it with a Z and not with an S to start with, because it wouldn't have been too wrong if they had done that with an S. We go for our last game of this stream. It's probably doing something in the background, I hope, and in fast mode, because as I explained earlier in the stream, when you were in fast mode on the ZX81, you couldn't see anything change on the screen. And I wish there was some way to see what it was doing, but it should be doing something, I hope. Thank you for coming by, RCJ. Hope to see you soon again. I stream every Thursday evening 10 PM Central European and every Saturday at 4 PM Central European time. You're always welcome. I wonder. Let me see. Was a break in 10, huh? Yeah, duh. It tries to save there instead of running. Okay, run 20 then. That was why I didn't do anything. It was just trying to save, and of course it didn't have a tape to save to. We saw a version of this earlier. This is in a lot of ways similar. It uses the same characters for stuff, but I was wondering if you would notice my shirt, Curtis. I got it in yesterday, actually. If you want me on the show, I will be on the show tonight, no problem. Don't have anything special to mention, but if you want me on there, I can be. Okay, that's one thing. So that must go into new acquisitions then, I guess, eh? Actually, for those who don't know, yeah, there's a show. Now, I think it's called Coco Talk these days, basically. Yeah. Coco Talk is a weekly show, Friday evening, 8 p.m. Central European Time, 7 p.m. GMT, and what is that? 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With people talking about the Tandy color computer, the Coco. It's basically a talk show. Every now and again there's different subjects that come up, but it's always related to about the Coco. And it's not the shortest show ever. Longest show, was it 6.5 hours, Curtis, or was it just 6? I'm not sure. And then of course there were the ones where after about 4 hours or so it was said, okay, let's stop for now and we go on in 2 hours. And yes, indeed, the Dragon 32 64 and the MC10 Alice. The Dragon 32 64 being a computer a lot like the Coco, but made by a company in the UK. The MC10 being a smaller computer made by Tandy to compete with systems like the Spectrum, for instance. And then made by a French company, and I can't think of the company that made it in France, but the Alice was basically the same as the MC10 but adapted to the French market with a few other small issues. But yeah, it's a talk show about the Coco, and I am sometimes on there. It's basically a Zoom call that's streamed live. Curtis is always on there. He is quite good. He's quite knowledgeable about Coco, quite knowledgeable about games on the Coco. He does the news section, and he seems to work on something that has to do something with OS 9. I don't know. We usually try not to mention it, Nitros and such, but yeah, or easy. I don't know. We ignore it most of the time, eh, Curtis? Let's try this one more time. Yeah, well, geeks we all are, so that's nothing exceptional, Curtis. That's a name we wear with pride, eh? Although, of course, when it comes up, he will always tell us that he's always said that it's the best thing ever, etc. But that's not a running joke there. But yeah, if you want to see a lot of people in their 50s and such talk about the computer and everything to go with it, feel free to tune in. It will be on in 1 hour and 15 minutes. There you go, Jiggly. I'm glad you liked it. I will have one last go at this game. And then we will end the stream and we will see if we can find someone to raid. If someone has someone to suggest, please do. Otherwise I will have a random look. Okay, looks like I might be safe in that corner, that helps. Yeah, for once again, with the limited graphic capabilities of a ZX81, this is actually, I think, not a bad version of the game. It runs pretty fluently. I wonder if I can make it through this level. Oh boy. Hey Panulf. Man, with another raid. I hardly ever get raids and now I get twice in a row. And of course just at the moment when I'm almost ending. Okay, and I can't pause this without losing him, but, well, who worries about the game? Hi, Pan and Raiders, welcome in. For those who don't know me, yeah, now I have to stay for a bit longer, I know. I'm FrodoNL, Frodo, Frank, but most of them, mostly online and offline know now as Frodo. I'm a retro gamer, retro streamer, but I also do a bit of modern gaming. And today I'm doing the first years of the Sinclair ZX81, a system that was came to be 40 years ago yesterday, so that's why I chose that one for today specifically. It's an old system, very old of course, 40 years old, has no audio, no graphics really, no color, so you will see some stuff that you that looks a bit different than what you might be used to nowadays. But yeah, Ben, how was your stream? I see a Gartic phone. I'm sure that was hilarious as always. Did you do it in French again, or did you have some English people in there? I don't know, Jiggly. It should be possible, but I'm now using something in Stream Elements just with my own choice of graphics, but technically that should be possible. But yeah, we are looking at some ZX81 games. I'll actually play this one more time. And in case you're wondering, the music you're hearing is music from ZX Spectrum games. ZX Spectrum was the system that came after the Sinclair ZX81. As you can see, no graphics really. There are some block graphics, but very limited. But the games use as much of the characters as they can to try and make something that looks like, somewhat at least like original games. But so nice of you to rate me, Pan. Yeah, French, I'm guessing. Yeah. The Gothic phone can be a ton of fun. For those who have never played it, it's basically a version of Chinese Whispers, but played by rounds interchanging between drawing, or first getting a text, coming up with a text. I did both, okay. And then the next person has to make a drawing based on the text that they get. And then after that, the next person has to make a drawing based again on the new text he got. And it can be hilarious what you get from start to finish. Chinese Whispers is risky anyway, but with the drawings added in, it gets extra interesting at times. It's especially fun if you have a group that know each other quite well. I notice I've been streaming for over 2 hours 45 minutes. Yeah, exactly, because the music just ran out and restarted from scratch. So Pen, what was your first computer you ever used, or your first gaming system? What I'm in the meantime gonna do is I'm gonna start with a few of the games from the start. It is one of the very best, I totally agree, Mitsuyama. I can't think of one better right now. The MO5, actually I touched that one for the first time about a year and a half ago at the Home Computer Museum in what's it called? In Helmond, near here. And they got one there during a party that they had there. And it is an interesting computer. Let's see. Let's try 3D Monster Maze. We played it early in the stream, but well, with all the raiders, I will add on another. Let's see. Let's go to 7:05 local time, so another 14 minutes, 13 minutes. Yeah. That's it. No sound, no color. But programmers did what they could. MO5. I never played with it, but I touched it, and it seemed an interesting computer for the time. I don't think you ever worked with something like ZX Spectrum and such, huh? Okay, mate. You enjoy your dinner. Thanks for the raid again. And I'll see you tomorrow, probably early in the night. I think we will be in Morgan's stream, eh? Yep, I will be there. That's the plan. If I'm still up, I will be there. And otherwise I will be there tomorrow after I wake up. Okay, bye for now, Pan. Thanks for the raid again. ST, nice computer. We will talk about that at some point. Bye bye. Au revoir. Let's see if I can repeat my feat from earlier and actually get out of a maze in this one. I was surprised it worked earlier, because that's not something I've done often in the past. I have to go one further. Hey, FC Den Haag, welcome in. How are you, mate? Oops, went too far. Oops. Get out of his way. Busy, eh? You too. There's no exit here. Uh-oh. I may have got myself in trouble. Whoops. And I'm dead. Yeah, as a teenager this was scary. Yeah, was somewhat scared. We made it extra scary, as I said earlier, by making noises if we had friends around. I could not escape that one. But yeah, as mentioned earlier by someone, this was one of the classic games for the ZX81. Let's put this one away. If I had just played one today. Yeah, I know. It's from the Spectrum 128K, so you get the same audio chip, the 8192. I know what. How come I 81? What's it called? Can't pick up the ship now. AY. Well, that one. That's a problem, because I can't get away from him. $8912 is this, huh? Yeah. And of course, Amstrad got a lot of games that were basically just Spectrum games, somewhat changed. So that explains the same music. No, I don't. I do own a portable TV still. But I don't own any old monitors. Oh yeah, there are tons of nice old systems out there. Some of them are not exactly cheap though to get if you want an original one. Now, ZX81 isn't expensive. Oops, if you want to look for it. But if you want to look, for instance, for ZX Spectrum 128K that I just mentioned, those have gone up in price quite a lot. For a good working machine nowadays, we're probably talking about 250 to 300 pounds. And they were about 100 to 150 pounds just 3 years ago. So they got really popular lately. Need to drink. I'll try one more time on this. Yeah, come on. That wasn't fair, starting him so close to me. Ah, the Vectrex. That's a fun system. Do you have games including the what do you call it? The mask for them? Because the Vectrex itself, to get that is not a bigger problem these days even, but getting the games including the, what do you call them? Masks? I can't think of it, but that is the difficult part, because those are often long gone. Nice. I like the Vectrex. I would love to have one. The overlays, that was what I'm looking for. Thank you, Curtis. There's one issue. There's one reason why I will not get a Vectrex. If it ever breaks, it's hell to repair. And getting spare parts for it is nigh on impossible. Oops. No. But I made it out of one maze again, so I'm happy with this. Now, let's see. What are we gonna end with? Not Frogger. Ah, you checked out my Frogger's stream, FrodoNL. Yeah. In the end, I couldn't do the MSX version. It didn't work for some reason, but I did 25 official versions of it, yeah. Oh yeah, let's do some Mazogs. That's really nice, Crazy Loomis, because that's, as I said, the overlays are the hardest thing to get these days for, well, that and repairing them. But yeah, my Forgo stream was pretty popular with a lot of people, I noticed. I will be doing similar comparison streams for some other games in the future, but I don't know which ones yet, because I started with the Manic Miner one as a challenge, what do you call it? A channel challenge, and then decided, okay, let's do the... Let's try it with Frogger, but if I want to do a comparison stream, I need to have a game that I am somewhat decent at playing. And as many of my viewers have noticed, there's a lot of games I'm not very good at. So I need games that have a lot of versions available that I can play pretty well. At least to a level that I can reach through a few of the screens. But we'll see. I'll come up with something, I'm sure. Oh, thanks, Crazy Loomis. That's nice of you to say that. Yes, I did go to Spyro at least once. I'm not sure if I went more of time, but I know one time that I was there. One was that was a bit out of the way for us, of course, from Maastricht. Yeah. And Curtis does know that there are some games I'm pretty good at. I'm also good at breaking certain games, as Curtis knows. I'm not quite sure if comparison stream with all versions of Pipe Mania would be that interesting for people. I have to go through there, but first I want to see if I can find a sword somewhere. So I'm not taking the risk of going through there without a sword. Almost correct, Ashton Haag. The system is called the Sinclair ZX81, which was the computer that came before the ZX Spectrum. So you had the correct system, just the naming was completely correct. But yeah, today I'm doing ZX81 games because the ZX81 turned 40 yesterday. I'm a pretty specialist player on Pipe Mania, especially on the Amiga. And there is a variation on it on the Coco, which I'm pretty decent on too. I love puzzle games, so... Earlier in this game, when I played it earlier in the stream, I was able to reach the what do you call it? The goal I could get the chest, but I couldn't get back to the exit. I wonder if I can battle that in this session. There's a chest. Okay, let's see where. Which way to go? Okay. Now I can only take a chest, not a sword, and I have to hope I don't get any opponents on my way. Also, spiders are rather dangerous. Let me see this, so I have to hint for a longer time. I might be lucky here. No, oh yeah, I have to go up here, that was it. And then I'm lucky here that there's another prisoner here. It may be that because of that raid, I actually might be able... no, I need this. Able to do something that I haven't done probably since about 1982. With a bit of luck. And if, okay. Enjoy your and ifs. And I never know quite sure how to pronounce it in English. I actually made it to the exit. That's hasn't happened since 1982 with the chest. And then we can have a look at what the map was like. As you can see, the map is actually relatively big. I think it's spelled E. I think it's spelled this way. Let me see if I remember correctly. Yeah. I don't eat it, so I never have to order it or anything. So, but I happen to know the word. But yeah, I think this is as good an end as I can get to this stream. I completed a round of Mazogs. I got 2 exits in 3D Monster Maze a few times. What more can you wish for? First of all, I'm not gonna comment on that, Odin. That's too easy. Okay, I want to thank everyone for coming by. I want to thank, of course, T and Pan for their raids. Now they're both not here at the moment, unless T happens to be around. Thanks all for coming here. I enjoyed it. It was fun to go back to what basically was my first system, even though I never had a ZX81. I did have the Timex-Sinclair 1000. And yeah, this was what it all started with. Thanks all for coming by. For those that are interested in retro, thanks for following. Who is that? At Douglas Starlight. Thank you for following. And yeah, for those who are interested in the retro systems, there are a few places you might want to visit. This is one of them. They do a lot of nice streams, and also on YouTube a lot of videos about retro gaming. We have Of course, the earlier mentioned Coco Talk, where I will, it seems I will be on there in about 50 minutes. And for those who, I think I have the right command here. Some of my video streams, and this one will be one of them, are also posted on the YouTube channel of Amiga's Retro Gaming at a later time. And that is the link there where you can see both our my older streams, but also a lot of other videos about Amiga, ZX Spectrum, the Atari 8-bit systems, what am I missing? Coco, of course, and all kinds of other systems in ARG Presents or whatever. Aaron, who is in here now, likes to play on a Friday evening. Yeah, I did say the Spectrum, Mitsuyama, but yeah, Sinclair. But yeah, feel free to check those out. And in the meantime, I'm looking for someone we can rate. I'm first of all looking if we can find someone who's doing something retro in my list. If not, we go for something else, of course. But got someone playing chess here. Nothing in my list who's doing retro. If I don't know if anyone has any ideas of someone to wait. Otherwise, I will just go to a friend of mine to wait. But let's see. Actually, I got someone. I think I've rated her before, but that's okay. Got someone who's playing Spyro Year of the Dragon. We're gonna rate StatNex. As I said, he's playing Spyro Rate of the... Was it Spyro Year of the Dragons? He just started a quarter of an hour ago, so... I hope to see you all there. And yeah, of course, be friendly to her and hope to see you all soon. Bye all.